making their way to Westminster, some of them very excited. This is something that even the SNP never thought that they would do. We listened to the opinion polls, we saw them, many predicted it, but very few thought they would actually happen. SNP themselves, and when I was in the Emirates Arena, Glasgow, the hours of the morning, some of them were in tears, and one of them turned to me and said, how did this happen? How did this happen? Even though they've worked for it all their lives, they didn't quite believe what was happening. Well, I think it's taken time for this to sink in, and here they all are now. They're just waiting for Nicola Sturgeon. She will come to the platform and say a few words. You can probably see in the middle of the picture her husband, Peter Murrell, organising everyone, making sure that they're all standing the right way, making sure they're all looking very smart. Angus Robertson having a wave there, and I think a number of people are now wondering what influence this will have on Westminster. And I said a little earlier that David Cameron has a majority in Parliament, therefore he can put his policies forward. However, this is a clear, Nicola Sturgeon's words are, this is a clear mandate, she says, when you see this picture, that this is what Scotland has voted for. And David Cameron has promised more powers for the Scottish Parliament. It was in his manifestos. Those powers were promised after the referendum in the Smith Commission. However, these MPs want more taxation, more welfare powers to come to Scotland, and that's what they say they'll be arguing for when they go into the corridors of power. Alex Salmond positioning himself and being positioned by Nicola Sturgeon's husband there. Few jokes and laughs amongst them all. Yes, they say they're nervous, but yes, they say they've been elected on a mandate to go and fight for the best interests of what they say Scotland needs. So certainly a lot for Westminster to think about, and certainly a lot for the Conservatives to think about. And I think the language that being spoken by it was David Cameron and George Osborne yesterday. George Osborne, one of the first things he said was that now Scotland has spoken, we should be listening. And certainly David Cameron in his speech said it would be the most devolved parliament in the world. But will that be enough for these SNP MPs who want more welfare, more taxation powers? And certainly in the manifesto was this promise for full fiscal autonomy. Now that is Scotland being fully in control of its own finances, and that may be something that Conservatives, maybe a step too far for the Conservatives. We'll have to wait and see exactly what will happen. We're still waiting on Nicola Sturgeon. She'll be walking up the road, waiting to step onto the platform, hoping that she'll be here quite soon. And I think even she just looked utterly stunned by the results. She called it a seismic shift. The tectonic plates, she said, of Scottish politics had moved, and these MPs will now consider exactly the job that they have in front of them over the next 5 years.
And Laura, it's going to be such a striking period, and I wonder where that...
Is this not a wonderful sight to see, guys? It's amazing. Amazing!
Absolutely, of course, want independence. Lots of the people who voted for the SNP want independence.
Wow.
But lots of them actually do. When you listen to...
Who would have believed this would have happened?
In the last couple of days, why did you vote SNP? It is also striking the number who said, actually, I'm not so fussed about the issue of independence. That's not just why I voted SNP.
This is a historic moment in our history, folks. Unbelievable.
Have a proper voice, almost saying, I want Scotland to be taken seriously at Westminster. And I guess only time will tell us where that balance is between people who just want their voice to be heard versus those who genuinely think the independence issue has not gone away.
Jane, you hit the nail on the head there. I think there are a number of voters, certainly right across Scotland, that I've spoken to, who supported the SNP when they said they wanted a stronger voice for Scotland. But for them, and certainly when I spoke to them, because Nicola Sturgeon said all along that this was not about independence for this election, this was about a stronger voice for Scotland, that is the reason they voted for them. And I think that will be a difficult, perhaps tricky line for Nicola Sturgeon and these 56 MPs to play, because there are 105,000 members now of the SNP across Scotland. Some of them will independence as soon as they can possibly have it. Nicola Sturgeon's answer has always been, when it comes to this general election, that independence was not for now. It was for a later date. This was about a stronger voice for Scotland. It was about fighting for more powers for the Scottish Parliament. And certainly that seems to be what the Scottish public have elected her on, that mandate to fight for stronger powers. And I think Nicola Sturgeon is on her way now by the looks of things. I can hear the crowd shouting. There are a number of people who have just come here to support, lots of children with SNP balloons, waving flags.
Here she comes! Here's our Nicola!
Here she comes now, you can hear the crowd.
Go in your cell, hen!
She is accompanied by John Swinney. Giving her deputy a hug and a kiss, and Angus Robertson there.
Is this not astonishing? Wow!
To represent Scotland at Westminster as well as at Holyrood. And just as voters in almost every part of this nation of ours chose the SNP, our pledge is that these 56 SNP MPs will represent the interests of all of Scotland. We will represent in Westminster, just as we do in the Scottish Parliament, people in every corner of our country. People who voted yes in the referendum, as well as people who voted no. People who voted for us on Thursday and people who did not. Our job is to repay the trust you have shown in us, and I pledge today that that is exactly what we will do. Scotland has given the SNP a mandate on a scale unprecedented for any political party, not just in Scotland, but right across the UK. We will use that mandate to speak up for and protect the interests of Scotland. And let us be very clear. The people of Scotland on Thursday voted for an SNP manifesto which had ending austerity as its #1 priority. And that is the priority that these men and women will now take to the very heart of the Westminster agenda. Now, after Thursday, and as I told the Prime Minister when I spoke to him yesterday, it simply cannot be, and it will not be, business as usual when it comes to Westminster's dealing with Scotland. Scotland this week spoke more loudly and more clearly than ever before. And my message today to Westminster is this: Scotland's voice will be heard in Westminster now more loudly than it has ever been before. And as we promised in the campaign, that strong voice will be a voice for more progressive politics. We will continue to seek to reach out to people of progressive opinion right across the UK, so that we can put ending austerity, investment in our public services like our precious National Health Service, investment economy, to get more young people into jobs. We will work with others to put those priorities right at the heart of Westminster. That is what people in Scotland have tasked the SNP now with doing. I want today to thank everyone across this country who placed their trust in the SNP on Thursday. We will not let you down. That is a promise. To those who didn't vote SNP yet, we will work every single day to win your trust. That is our promise to you. And our message to Westminster is simple. Our message to the politicians of the other parties at Westminster is this one. No longer will Scotland be sidelined or ignored in Westminster. Our voice will be heard. Our interests will be protected. That is what voting SNP is going to deliver. Thank you all very much indeed.
On your Sohan, well done, you!
Well, we will leave that scene in South Queensferry for now. Laura Vickers, thank you, our Scotland correspondent. We'll have more from Laura later in